Sup nerds, and welcome back to the HWN Nerds YouTube channel. Today we're reacting to Percy Jackson Sea of Monsters. So, season 2 of the TV series. Can't wait for this. I'm a big Percy Jackson fan. I have the trident tattooed on my arm. So, been looking forward to doing this all year, and we're finally here. So let's get into the first two episodes. I believe the first episode will introduce us to Tyson, and then the second episode looks like we're going to get the chariot race, which was missed out of the film. I know we don't tend to talk about the films as Percy Jackson fans, but we're going to have to mention them a little bit because they did cover the first and second seasons. Thank God we didn't get a third one, because I feel like they would have messed up Nico and Bianca to no end. So, yeah, let's get into it. I do like the change they made at the beginning, at the end of last season. Like, there was no inkling in the books of where Grover was going to search for Pan in the books. Whereas they gave us an inkling in the end of last season with Grover saying he was going to go and search at sea and getting the idea from Percy being the son of Poseidon. It's a nice little neat segue into this season, and picking straight up with Grover is a good choice. I wonder if this will be Percy having a dream about Grover, though, like in the original books.
Allie? Allison Sims, is that you? What are you doing here? Campers aren't allowed to search for Pan.
So that's an interesting choice, switching it up to have him already on an island and being chased by Luke's rogue campers, rather than him being in Florida and being chased by a creature that Percy can't see, but we'll later learn is probably Polyphemus. Now, we're never outright told that that was Polyphemus, but through context clues and the fact that Grover ducks into a bridal shop and the next time we see him, he's hiding in a wedding dress from Polyphemus, it's quite obvious that that was Polyphemus that was looking for him, and probably going to eat him until Grover managed to trick him into thinking he was a woman and was going to marry him, thanks to the poor eyesight that he's got pre-Odyssey. If you're an Epic the Musical fan, you know, you'll remember that Odysseus and the crew blinded Polyphemus before escaping, rather than killing him. You'll also remember that Polyphemus is Percy's brother, which is a little bit of foreshadowing for Tyson's reveal. So that is a spoiler for those of you that haven't read the books or seen the movie. But yes, Tyson is a son of Poseidon, same as Polyphemus, same as Percy. So, interesting. I feel like adding the Golden Fleece in here is a way to drop the exposition about the Golden Fleece early on, so that we're not like having two conflicting quests. We've got the Golden Fleece quest and the Save Grover quest straight away, and there's not like, and they're kind of linked, and we're like speeding this up, kind of like what we did in season 1, speeding through some of the stuff, but in a way that's a bit more fluid. And I do feel like this is a bit more fluid than season 1, because we didn't know that there was no connection. Like, if you're not a book reader, you won't know that there's no connection at first, like, Percy only has a dream about Grover and no mention of the fleece until like a couple of chapters in. So having it like this early on in Percy's dreams and stuff like that does feel like a nice way to get the key information very quickly. Does make me wonder though, are we going to stick to similar plot beats? Because Percy has a dream about Grover and Annabeth has a dream about the camp being in danger. So I'm wondering, are they going to keep that in? Are they not? Are they both going to have a dream about Grover? Because if so, that kind of changes something. Percy has a dream about Grover because he has an empathy link with Grover, which is kind of like the psychic rapport in X-Men between Scott and Jean, just less romantic. So they can use it to communicate with each other and also know what each other is feeling. Or more specifically, Grover always knows what I nearly did a Mr. D there. What Percy is feeling. I nearly called him Peter. Don't know why. Probably because I used a Marvel reference. So yeah.
Hey, Tyson. Is this yours?
Oh, thanks, Percy.
That looks pretty cool, Tyson. What is that?
Compass.
Oh, so Tyson is living with them. They're not just school friends. I kind of see why they might have done that. It gets rid of what I like to call the Grover problem between book 1 and book 2, which is where Percy always has a supernatural friend at school that he doesn't know is supernatural and then later finds out is supernatural. Obviously, then Tyson goes on to be discovered to be his brother, which is a bigger place in Percy's life, arguably. I know him and Grover have this special connection, but him and Tyson are brothers. How due to how Cyclops' age, where they may physically look the same age as a person, but mentally they will be at a different level. Tyson is more akin to Percy's little brother. It does feel nice to have already had this, where him and Percy are kind of already acting like brothers, rather than them just fulfilling that best friend role. I wonder if that will mean that Percy's not as hostile to the idea of them being brothers, because that always felt a bit out of character when I read Sea of Monsters for Percy. To me, at least. I don't know if you guys agree with me. Let me know in the comments. But for the way that I read Percy in book 1, Percy being a little bit hostile about being brothers with Tyson in Percy Jackson always did feel a bit out of place. And they did ham that up a lot in the movie. Like, it's not that big of a deal in the book, but it is a big point of contention in that film. And it's only Percy only really accepts Tyson as his brother when he almost dies. Because Percy is confused as to why Annabeth is treating Tyson like crap in the books. One, because he doesn't know in the book that Tyson is a Cyclops. And two, because he feels like it's out of character for Annabeth. So the fact that the movie went out of the way to make Percy a jerk to Tyson, even though that they were friends before the reveal, never really sat right with me. Like I said, there is a little bit of contention after he's revealed to be his brother, but it's more out of the fact that Percy's feeling a lot of peer pressure, as there's quite a bit of stigma in the demigod world for Cyclopes. And that bleeds into his relationship with Tyson. Even though they have been friends beforehand, it does seem to have an effect, especially because he regards Camp Half-Blood as like his safe zone. So it's a little bit of embarrassment. Tyson is super infused because his best friend is now his brother, but Percy doesn't share this enthusiasm. I do hope that Percy is a bit more brotherly with Tyson than in the movie. Like I said, I feel like there might be a little bit of tension, but if it's just that slight bit of tension because the camp doesn't treat Tyson very nicely, and Percy doesn't quite understand why Poseidon chose to do it, then I can get behind that. But if it's the same as the movie, then I wouldn't like that. But I don't see them doing that at all. I think I rambled a bit there.
Gray sisters?
Okay. Put me down, big guy.
Oh, okay. Interesting to have that show up straight away. The Grey Sisters.
You're Annabeth. Percy talks about you all the time.
Tyson?
Nice. You look at a picture all the time, right?
Ha! Domini Minute, that's hilarious. I absolutely love that. Oh.
30, 31, 75, 12.
They gave them coordinates. If I remember rightly, that's C coordinates. I do like how we're getting this all early on, but it does feel like they're rushing through parts again. Like, we didn't get the attack at the school. I do like Percy not knowing who the Grey Sisters are this time, though, because he did seem to have too many answers.
Sally has to know that, right? That he can't enter?
I tried telling her.
So what Percy and Annabeth are talking about is that Camp Half-Blood is protected by a barrier around the borders of camp, a magical barrier that's reinforced by the spirit of Thalia, who Zeus turned into a tree after her last stand, protecting Annabeth, Grover, and Luke, which is why Luke poisoning the tree is such a big deal, especially to Annabeth, because Thalia died protecting him, so it's such a big betrayal. But, to get back on point, the barrier keeps monsters out of Camp Half-Blood, which is why Camp Half-Blood is the only safe spot in the world that they know about, because there is another place, but that is from a different series of books, and maybe we'll get there in the future, maybe we won't, so go check out Heroes of Olympus if you haven't, where Half-Bloods can be safe. The barrier failing is the big point of this book, but it's why Tyson can't get into camp, and why Annabeth is like, surely Sally knows Tyson won't be able to come in. However, there is a circumvention to this rule, where a demigod can invite a monster into camp. We kind of see it at the end of book 1, but that was cut from the end of the first series, because in book 1, Luke invites a monster into camp to take care of Percy, which they changed to a sword fight, which is much better show-wise, but it doesn't set the stage for when Annabeth will invite Tyson into camp. Now, in the books, that's to fight one of the, I think it's Aegean bulls, which are brass bulls created by Hephaestus that are piping hot, so no demigod can touch them, and they spew fire and everything. But Tyson being a Cyclops is immune to fire, so he can basically punch them in the face and manhandled them. You see it in the film. I don't think we're gonna get it here because... Oh, so we're getting the cannibal giants at the edge of camp rather than having them attack them at school. Okay, that's an interesting choice. In the books, they get attacked at school by the cannibal giants. Now, I'm not going to try and pronounce their name, like their actual mythological name. I can't, for the life of me, pronounce it. I will put it on screen, so it will be in the corner here for you if you want to know what they're called. And I believe Annabeth does say it, but or at least she should tell Percy what it's called. I'm assuming she will in the show, but yeah, it's a bit interesting that they're attacking them on the barrier to camp. I wonder why that's going to be. Because, like I said, they have a dodgeball fight in the books. And Percy first sees Tyson being fireproof because of it. Annabeth comes in with her invisibility cap and stabs one of them in the back. And Percy's made a fugitive again. Maybe it's because they don't want to repeat some things from book 1 or season 1. So, like, the supernatural friend trope and the Percy getting in trouble with the law thing. I don't know. That might be why they skipped the school part altogether. But it is a little bit of fun. But I guess it makes sense. They did speed up them getting into the Grey Sisters taxi as well, because that happens after the dodgeball fight, not before they run into the giants. So they kind of muddled those around. So I do kind of see what they're going for a little bit. I do wonder, though, what their plan is and why they've done it on the border of camp. Yeah, so I was right. We didn't get the bulls because the cannibals chased them into camp. The thing is, though, the border patrol was set up because monsters were already able to get through the barrier because Thalia's tree had already been poisoned. Luke poisoning Thalia's tree while using the monsters as a distraction doesn't really explain why the border patrol is needed, because they were only there because the barrier was weakened, which all of camp already knew about. So making that change kind of messes with that a little bit.
He's your brother.
Turn around, Percy. This is the moment Tyson gets claimed, guys. So this is different because in the book, Tyson is claimed at the dinner table where they're trying to find a place for him to sleep. So him getting claimed this way kind of removes a little bit of the tension, I think, as Poseidon really didn't have much of a choice in claiming him in this version, in this interpretation, as campers would have killed him on sight. So I can see why they did add Clarissa's army for this specific scene. Otherwise, as I said before, they weren't really necessary, as the reason why they were originally there isn't part of it anymore. But having them there for this gives Poseidon a legitimate reason to claim Tyson, rather than the original reason why he claimed Tyson, which kind of, I get, was answering Tyson's prayer, but from Percy's perspective, seemed a bit off and out of the blue. So you can see why they might have changed that. I do like that they've done that. I have seen over the years in the fandom people say that why did Percy not offer Cabin 3 to Tyson without him being claimed, and why was there even a mode of like asking where Tyson was going to be for Poseidon to pop up and claim Tyson. I feel like they can't offer out their cabins. I feel like it's because they belong to the gods and not the children. The gods have to claim you to go in there. The only exception being the Hermes cabin, as Hermes is the god of travelers. Anyone can stay in there, which is why the children of minor gods and unclaimed can stay in the Hermes cabin. But I do feel like that is why Percy didn't offer Tyson Cabin 3 prior to, at least in the books, Poseidon claiming Tyson. But I do prefer this change of Poseidon claiming Tyson out of necessity rather than out of, well, just wanting to. It feels more legit.
Also booted Ponyboy on account of the fact that he's the son of Kronos.
Chiron is originally let go, not only because he's the son of Kronos, which also Zeus is, and so is Poseidon, Hades, Demeter, Hera, and where's the sixth one? The sixth. Zeus, Poseidon, Hera, Hestia. Hestia went out of my head. I can't believe that I forgot Hestia. I'm so sorry, Hestia the Bestia. Don't come for me for Percy Jackson fandom. Whoops. But that's embarrassing. So yeah, Percy calling them out, being like, why was he fired for being the child of Kronos when they're all children of Kronos? That doesn't make sense. Makes sense in this context. In the book, there's more context to it, where Chiron was fired not only for being a child of Kronos, but for not being able to stop the tree from getting poisoned or healing the tree. For not being able to heal the tree. So, Zeus punished him by firing him, which, as I said, would strip Chiron of his immortality, because he's only immortal so long as he's training heroes. However, there's another point to that as well, as they don't know who poisoned the tree. In this one, Percy, Annabeth, and Tyson saw Luke poison the tree, whereas in the book, we don't know who poisoned the tree, so Zeus automatically assumes that it could be Chiron, as he is a child of Kronos, and therefore could be working for Kronos. It shows a flaw in Zeus's thinking, but they cut that. Oh, I don't like that. Seeing the scars on Tyson's back, that's awful. That hurts to see. Oh. I do like the setup that they've gone with. So, like, in this case, Poseidon really didn't have much of a choice but to reveal his parentage of Tyson, otherwise Tyson would have been killed by the rest of camp. But because he's claimed Tyson, to kill Tyson would be an act against Poseidon. And no one in camp is stupid enough to kill a child of Poseidon.
Boom! Empathy link! Has to be!
Does it?
Awesome. So we're getting the empathy link now, which I do like. It means that Percy and Annabeth and Grover have kind of like the Skype call ability from Star Wars. And they can read each other's emotions.
I know how to save camp.
Right, so on to the next episode.
That's your cue. Find Chiron.
Okay, so she's going to go find Chiron. That's an interesting choice. The reason why it's an interesting choice is because Chiron was already still at Camp Half-Blood when Percy, Annabeth, and Tyson arrived. He was already fired, but he hadn't left yet. So to have him already be off the premises is a bold decision. I get that they're going to iris message for the exposition that Chiron usually gives. But it does feel a bit weird, Chiron not being there, especially because we don't get that like exposition or conversation between Percy and Chiron about the fact that Chiron training heroes is the only reason Chiron is immortal. So without it, does that mean Chiron has lost his immortality?
He can't know there's something he can't know.
So in this version, Percy's unaware of the Great Prophecy. Because in the books, while Percy's not allowed to know the contents of the Great Prophecy, like he's not allowed to know the whole shebang, he'll have a decision to make that could save or reap Olympus. A cursed blade shall reap. Child of the Big Three will either save or destroy Olympus. You know, the big prophecy. I don't know it word for word off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure there'll be loads of Percy Jackson fans out there that do know it off the top of their head. I don't. But that prophecy, Percy, while he's not allowed to know that, he is allowed to know that there is one about him. But obviously the book has changed this. So the show, has changed this. And made it so that only a select few, that being the Council of Olympus, Chiron, and the Oracle, and now Annabeth, are allowed to know this. I wonder why they've done that. Is it to just add some more tension to Percy and Annabeth's relationship? That's not just Annabeth dislikes the Cyclopes because of what happened with Thalia. I don't know.
Your mom invented the chariot. My dad created horses. We ride together. We're unbeatable.
So it's interesting foreshadowing that Percy wanted him and Annabeth to work together on the first chariot race because of Athena being the creator of chariots and Poseidon being the creator of horses, as that's exactly what happens in the second chariot race at the end of the book. And with help from Tyson, they do manage to win the race, the second chariot race at the end of the entire story. The Sea of Monsters, not the entire novels. But obviously that means for the first round they are rivals, and it is Clarice that wins the chariot race. So I'm assuming that is what they're going to go with here. So yeah, interesting that they've already foreshadowed that though.
This is really cool.
Hey, Percy.
Yeah.
It's good seeing Tyson's skills be put to work. I also like the fact that they've seemed to have mentally aged Tyson up. He's always physically around the same age as Percy, but Cyclopes mentally age at a different rate to humans in the books. So he's more like a little brother to Percy. He's still inexperienced and innocent in this, but it's more because of being homeless and not having any social interactions outside of people being bullies to him. So I do like this. I do like the statue of Apollo pulling the sun chariot as well for a chariot race.
Killing not so much, but things happen, etc., etc. I've got 50 on Ares, Captain.
I like how Dionysus was being like safe, like no killing, and Tantalus was like, you can try not to kill each other, but no one cares. Ares' cabin immediately going after Hephaestus feels thematically on point. There isn't really much to say about the chariot race except sick. This is really awesome. I also love the flirting between Clarice and Chris Rodriguez that we got when they were like setting up the chariot race. I feel like it's really cool that we're getting it this early on and stuff like that. I'm looking forward to it. It is really cool. Oh, here they come. The barrier failed. Dionysus just swatting them away is hilarious. Because obviously he's a god, so they're nothing to him. That was actually really clever, but also cheesy as hell.
When the camp was attacked, only one of you showed the strength.
This is why he's gonna pick Clarice, because she was fighting.
It's an ocean quest. You'll need someone good in the water.
There's no way she's picking Percy. She doesn't like Percy. Clarice choosing Annabeth for the quest and then going to choose Percy before Annabeth stops her is going to be a mode of contention that is going to eat through it. I know that we usually get that through the Tyson stuff, and I feel like that's going to bleed into it as well. But this is going to be a mode of contention between the two of them. I don't know why, like, they needed to add this in. There was already enough tension between her not liking Tyson. As I said, in the books, Percy isn't usually on board with Tyson being his brother super quickly due to peer pressure and stuff like that. Like, he's still fine with him being his friend. It's just, he finds it weird in being his brother. However, they've kind of already been living that way with him and Sally, so I feel like he'll get over that a lot quicker, and it seems like he has. But that tension's usually there with him and Annabeth, because of what happened with Thalia, and it feels like they've swapped that out for this tension, and I really hope they haven't, because that is a key part of like Annabeth's arc in this book, learning to accept Tyson and overcome her prejudice towards all Cyclopes, because it's not all Cyclopes, it's just those Cyclopes. So I do hope that they do keep that in. But yeah, I feel like so far it's been really good. And the chariot race is really sick.
Yeah, I dug it out of shipwrecked cargo in the cave. Don't ask. I don't know how much time we have.
Grover,
Yes?
I gotta ask.
I do like how they're using the empathy link in this show. I think it's done really, really well.
I invented the lyre, which some thieves stole, but why harp about it? Get it?
I actually did get that. That's quite funny.
You're finally beginning to understand how things work in this family.
I do like the fact that he's like treating him like you would a cousin.
Terms of the four winds. Unscrew it a smidge. Gale force gust will get you where you need to go.
You know, I can't believe it took me this long to realize that the Sea of Monsters is just Percy going through the Odyssey. But it took listening to Epic the Musical and seeing like the different stages of Epic the Musical, and then watching and rereading Percy Jackson's Sea of Monsters for this video to like put the two and two together and start going, wait a minute, the flask is just the wind bag. Wait a minute, that will undo Circe's curse. Wait a minute, that's the lair of Scylla. Wait a minute, that's Polyphemus's island. Wait a minute, Annabeth literally calls it out when they fight the man-eating cannibals. She says, Odysseus once fought these in the Odyssey. We were told and this was all set up. Except, I never realized it. And I've heard it said online as well that Grover's plotline kind of mirrors Penelope's plotline in the Odyssey, where he's fighting off someone who wants to marry him, so a suitor, while waiting for his hero, Percy, or Odysseus, in Penelope's case, to come and save him. So they're kind of mirroring different plot lines, which I do really, really like the fact that they've done that.
He hates you.
He's my son.
It just shows that some of the gods actually care about their children. Like, Percy calls out that he can't even get an answer from Poseidon. And we know Poseidon is a caring father, but he's aloof. Whereas Hermes is avidly trying to reach Luke. And we know part of that is from guilt. And then part of that is because he really does care about Luke Castellan. There are other gods that really don't give a crap. And we'll see how they treat their kids. And I feel like we're going to see that with Ares and Clarice in the coming episodes. Because, spoiler alert, Ares doesn't treat Clarice very nicely. It's why she was so devastated when Percy broke her spear. We also kind of got a glimpse of it last season with Annabeth and Athena, with how Athena is very cold towards her children. I wouldn't say she's as bad as like Ares or even Zeus when it comes to his kids, but like you can see she's very cold. She punishes Annabeth for helping Percy by letting a monster into her own temple. So, but then there's Hermes, who is literally sending Percy to Luke. So, for those of you that aren't aware, the cruise ship he's talking about that's off the coast of Camp Half-Blood, that's the Princess Andromeda, which is Luke's cruise ship. So, that's where we're going next. We're going to Luke Castellan. Percy will bump into the rest of Luke's forces and Luke. Luke has literally been like sailing nearby camp.
I don't know what happened to you this year, and obviously you don't want to tell me that either, and that's fine.
I knew it was going to come to a boiling point. Them having their argument. And Tyson being able to overhear her tell the other person on her team to take out Percy is also not very helpful, because she already doesn't like Tyson, and Tyson being the one that kind of dubbed her in it isn't going to help that. So it does feel like they might play on that a little bit. That's good. I do like the fact that they've like had this discussion, and Percy's basically reaffirmed to her that just because she didn't like the stuff that he told her she might, doesn't mean that they can't be friends.
If there's one thing I've learned after 3,000 years of hunger, it's you never defy the will of the gods.
So yeah, you can kind of see Tantalus's point. Like, Tantalus defied the will of the gods. He stole ambrosia and nectar. He revealed divine secrets. And most famously, he fed his son to the gods. And was eternally punished for it by not being able to eat or drink anything. So you can see why he would be like, we have to follow the law. Now, his punishment is well deserved. Don't go killing your own children and feeding them to your deities. That is wrong on so many levels, but like, that is his sin, his crime against the gods. And you can kind of see why his demeanor is, we have to obey the gods at all times. Because when you've spent an eternity hungry and thirsty, but you can't die, That must be eternal torture. You gotta feel for Clarice, though. Like, I know they've been chased off by Tantalus, but you gotta feel for Clarice. She chose Annabeth as one of her questmates. It was all hype. And now Annabeth's fucked off with Percy and Tyson. And Annabeth was the one that told her not to pick Percy. Not to let Percy go on the quest. So you gotta feel for Clarice here.
Now we're going on a quest.
Okay, so that was Percy Jackson's first 2 episodes. I really do like how they've done this. We got the introduction to Tyson, which I do like how they changed Tyson's introduction from just being a kid Percy knew at school, and Percy then finding out he's a Cyclops, to Percy automatically knowing he's a Cyclops, and Sally being the one to bring him into the home after finding him at a homeless shelter. Love that. I also love the fact that Poseidon claimed him out of self-preservation for one of his children. That feels like the Poseidon we came to know in Season 1, like a very Poseidon thing to do from Season 1. He seems like a very protective kind of father, in this show at least. I also like how they've caused a bit more contention in Percy and Annabeth's relationship this season by having Annabeth know the Great Prophecy and Percy not. So she's trying to help Percy not know it and circumvent it by following Chiron's directives. And Grover lets Percy see that. I feel like more will come to the surface when we get the reason for Annabeth being put off by Tyson. For those of you that aren't in the know and haven't seen the Percy Jackson Sea of Monsters movie or read the books, Annabeth has a slight problem with Tyson because Cyclopes were the monsters that were chasing Thalia, her, and Grover when Thalia and Luke, when Thalia did her last stand and died becoming the tree. So Annabeth sees that in Tyson. So we'll see what happens there. I also like the fact that we got the Hermes introduction and we got it properly, so we got all the information. I feel kind of dumb that I didn't realise the artifacts that Hermes gave to Percy in the books were directly linked to the fact that Percy's basically going on the Odyssey this season. Which, after listening to Epic and then watching this, I've been able to put 2 and 2 together, and I was like, oh, how did I not realize the windbag and the thermos are the same thing? The tablets he gives him are to counteract certain things that he'll come across, aka when he meets Cersei, and yeah, I do feel kind of done with that. The compass is obviously going to come back into play when they start heading through Scylla's lair and things like that to try and get to Polyphemus's island. So this is all going to be fun. It looks like we're going to get them on the cruise ship and we're going to get Ares in the next episode. So that should be a good thing. And I did like seeing the chariot race. With that, I feel like I've come to the end of this video. So as always, guys, stay happy, stay healthy, and most of all, stay nerdy. I'll see you in the next one.